Hey, what's up, guys? I have not done one of these in a while. I was actually talking with some people in the comment section, and I actually wanted to make a video about this. So I've been thinking about inputs, like controller layout and controller inputs, and this is like something that I think could be interesting. Honestly, it could be an interesting discussion, and I have some good ideas that I honestly just kind of wanted to share. As simple as that. So you know, I've been playing Souls for quite some time. You guys know me. Like we've been through this, and the Souls games have always had, like, I'm not gonna say an issue, but there's always like some inputs that are not necessarily very intuitive, or that can be pressed by accident, or there can always be like problems. Like, let me give you an example. In Dark Souls 3, kicking was like, you know, it was pressing forward on your stick and then pressing pressing the attack button, right? So that was kicking. Now in Elden Ring, you need to have empty hand to do a kick, so it makes it more simple where you can't do a kick by mistake, for instance, in Elden Ring. But it has the disadvantage of, if you want to kick with your main weapon, let's say you want to kick with your main weapon, well, you have to switch off, actually, have to switch off your main weapon in order to kick, or you need to assign a weapon to the kick itself in order, like for the, you need to assign an ash, like kick Ash of War to your weapon in order to kick with your weapon. So you sacrifice an Ash of War slot for the kick, and the kick is not good enough to really warrant an Ash of War slot, let's be honest. So all in all, you'd pretty much need to like do a quick swap to a weapon that has the kick Ash of War if you wanted to use it properly. Either way, you guys know what I mean, right? Like, there's always some quirks and little like kind of downsides, upside to like these sort of the way they make inputs. And so I've been thinking about this as well with the backstabs. You know how a lot of time you're gonna get, like, say a backstab attempt on something by accident. Like you'll initiate a backstab grab behind your enemy or behind your target when you just want to attack them, and this often happens in chase down and situations like that, and most of the time you're also going to get punished because the backstab recovery is so damn long. So that's another one. So I was actually thinking about this, and I feel like I found, like, I was about to say I found a way to fix all of this. You know, it's in theory, because, you know, I know they're not going to fix this. I know they're not going to change this. This is really just a discussion that we're having for fun at the end of the day. Like, none of this is going to change. But, I mean, let's just nerd out. Fuck it. That's why this channel is here. So what I was thinking about, if I was to redo, like, the entire control layout for Elden Ring, I was actually thinking about this and freeing up some buttons with some simple changes, like keeping everything the same. These are the changes that I thought about so far. So if we were to change how you two-hand your weapon, like right now, it's triangle with the bumpers, right? So let's put another weapon in our offhand just to... So right now it's like triangle and then bumper, left bumper, right bumper to switch to both weapons. And then you have the arrows, the toggle between weapons, right? I was thinking, if you mix in triangle with arrows instead of triangle bumpers with the switch, you would get something like triangle arrows instead of triangle bumpers to switch your weapon, and that would free up triangle R1. And the thing is, freeing up triangle R1 would let you do triangle R1 with, like, specified to backstab. So if you were to attempt a backstab, you would never ever get a backstab attempt by accident. Every backstab attempt would be 100% on purpose, because a backstab attempt would always be triangle R1, right? And then you'd also free up triangle L1, and you could have a dedicated kick to triangle L1 so that you'd be able to kick no matter which setup you have. So you'd kind of free up a lot of inputs with that. And I was also thinking, you know, if you put triangle oops, sorry, if you put triangle arrows, like triangle right arrow to switch your main weapon and triangle left arrow to switch your left hand weapon, if you do that, you would also prevent you from attacking by accident. I'm sure some of you had this issue at some point. Like, I'm sure some of you did that. Like, when you want to switch weapons, sometimes you'll just end up attacking once by accident. It does not happen often, but it will happen from time to time. And so I was thinking, to completely get rid of that, what if you were to make switching, like, make two-handing your weapon simply be like the right arrow? Like, so if you press right arrow, you change your right hand weapon, and then if you press left arrow, you change your left hand weapon, and then if you press triangle, and if you hold triangle and then press the right or left arrow, then you would pretty much do a toggle, right? So if you press triangle plus left arrow, then you do a toggle, and press triangle left arrow, then you do a toggle, or vice versa. Maybe you guys think it would be a better idea to have toggles stay the same, so arrow just toggles, and then when you press triangle plus the arrow, you just two-hand your weapon. But either way, I think it would be a better idea to have that there, because freeing up the triangle R1 and triangle L1 would make it so that backstabs would no longer be initiated by accident, and then you'd also free up, like, say, triangle L1 to get, like, say, a dedicated kick. So you pretty much take care of, like, some of the annoyances that come from, like, having inputs, like, all mapped to the same thing. And then you also would technically have, like, freed up triangle R2 and triangle L2. Now, I've not thought of, like, anything in particular about, like, triangle L2 and triangle R2. I don't really know, like, what I would put there. You know, when in present, like, at the moment in Elden Ring, if you hold triangle and you have, like, this extra kind of D-pad for all these extra inputs, you could also keep it like that. I mean, those are just ideas. I think there's other ways to make the, like, these extra, like, D-pads inputs. Like, personally, I really feel like having extra, like, consumables like this is not necessarily, like, as important as having, like, a clean main button layout, where the main buttons that are used, like, mid-combat or mid-action, like, should be used, like, without getting mixed up or, like, confused or used by accident. And what I mean by that is, you don't want to get backstabs by accidents when you don't mean to do a backstabs, or you want to have access to a kick when you could have access to a kick in previous games. But in previous games, on the other hand, the kick could be used by accident. So they still have not solved the kick problem, where you should have access to a kick, but the kick should not be used by accident. I mean, further than that, also the kick is too slow and underpowered, but that's another issue. That's, like, balance related. Like, if we're talking input, I feel like having these things mapped to, like, specific button combination would be something that could be interesting to have. And on the same topic, someone also mentioned, like, why not put, like, let's say R1 and L1 for a backstab, like, or, like, let's be, like, if you press both buttons at the same time, like, why not have that be an input, right? There's a reason why that should not be the case. Like, every time you have an input have a multi-purpose, you're gonna need to have, like, these buttons either have a delay, like in milliseconds, because, like, in order for you to press both buttons at the same time, you know, you have to give a bit of leeway for the user to press both things. Otherwise, it's going to be a frame perfect input where you need to absolutely press both at the same time in order for it to register. So either you have, like, you add a small delay for the game to, like, to wonder, like, okay, are they pressing, like, just R1, or are they pressing both buttons at the same time? So you either need to add a small delay to that, and that in exchange would delay slightly a little bit, like your R1 or your normal attack, and you don't want that. That would be like a horrible feel. Or the other way to do it is you do it on release. So you guys know how with the circle button, right? You roll when you release the circle, not when you press it. It's when you release it. So, and then when you hold it for a while, then it's a sprint instead, right? So they already have that system with rolling. So they could also do it so that you have to attack on release. But again, that's also, I feel like, a bad system because it becomes less responsive. And so that's why I don't think it makes a lot of sense to like add inputs for like something like mixing R1 and L1. The downside is just too big where it affects like the core of the gameplay, which are the attack buttons. Whereas if you just make it so it's triangle mixed with another input, like for instance the way they have it with switching weapon, there's actually nothing wrong with switching weapon with triangle R1 and L1, other than you're still sometimes by accident going to press it here and there. So like when you attempt to switch weapon, like you're not gonna switch weapon by accident, but when you want to switch weapons, sometimes you're going to attack by accident instead. So either way, I just wanted to, you know, talk a little bit about this, have a conversation with you guys, hear some thoughts about what you guys think about like these suggestions, and what would you guys also map to something like triangle R2 and triangle L2. If we were to make it so that switching weapon is like triangle arrow, and that triangle R1 would be a backstab attempt, and then triangle L1 would be a kick, then it would leave us free with triangle R2 and triangle L2. Like, what would we put there? Like, what could be interesting to put there? If you guys have any idea, I would be interested to know. Also, I mean, at this point, you could also make it so that the if you guys still want your quick items, you know, you can still put it with triangle L2 and R2 for the quick items. But I don't think like these are necessary in that sense. I feel like having like actual like gameplay related inputs is probably more important for the game and for like for good gameplay. But anyway, and I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this this introspection on the Elden Ring inputs. You know, again, this discussion is really for fun. I'm not expecting, you know, this is not like official feedback or whatever. Like, I'm not expecting anything to change out of this. I don't think the DLC will change anything. I don't even think From Software is going to necessarily change that for the next game either. But if you guys think these are some good ideas, let me know. And what would you map to triangle L1 and, or sorry, triangle R2 and triangle L2? All right, that's it for today. Take care, guys.